Wanna find great? Follow me. New listings. Whatever you're looking for, you'll find it on Yep. Yep has a range of great traders and suppliers. Those are our artists. Let me take you to the painters. There you go. All local, all vetted, and all-star rated. Find great on yep.co.za.
Our next speaker presents a logical transition from Google. She's Sandy Lohr, the CEO of Matchcraft, who are a leading global search marketing firm. She and Paul will discuss opportunities in search marketing, particularly in this current environment. Before we hear from Sandy, we want to thank our sponsors once again, Telkom Business and the new Yep Marketplace, Duda, Mono Solutions, and Matchcraft. Once again, today wasn't possible without their support. Paul will now speak to Sandy.
Here at BigFive Digital, we are privileged to be connected with some of the biggest names and brands in online search, social, mobile, location, and payments. Of course, the biggest name in search is Google. But for millions of small businesses around the world and the myriad of resellers and agencies who serve them, they need technology partners that can negotiate their way around Google's maze of rules and algorithms. And that's where Matchcraft comes in. I'm delighted to be joined for this session by Matchcraft CEO, Sandy Lohr, all the way from Santa Monica, California. Good morning, Sandy.
Hello, Paul. Nice to see you. I had to bring my own light for our fireside.
Yeah, in fact, we could do with some fire here. It's a little bit cool in London right now. So, Sandy, search marketing is a constantly evolving science, as I've just said, placing huge demands on companies like yours to stay ahead of the curve. So let me begin by just asking you to explain the Matchcraft ethos and philosophy. How do you ensure that your company stays ahead of the curve?
Well, first is our vision. I'll start there because the beginning of our vision is to help local businesses succeed through our technology used by our resellers. And I think the importance of that has never resonated so much than during this pandemic. But so that would be first and foremost, is just to help local businesses succeed. Second is, in 22 years that Matchcraft has been operating, the core of what we do in our DNA is to listen and learn from our resellers and our agency clients. And they provide us with such a depth of knowledge from the SME world of those local businesses. So it's allowed us to act as strategic partners. And then last is just the culture at Matchcraft itself is so diverse. And we think that helps bring innovation and creativity to our company. And so helping to provide technology solutions in times like this, when the world is so complex, digital has become extremely complex, and our job is to make that simple and simplify all that complexity through technology.
And you touch on the pandemic, and it's been impossible, throughout this summit not to continually reference what has happened because of coronavirus and the impacts that it's going to have on the small business community. What do you see from where you are in terms of what small businesses are needing to do to respond, and how they should be emerging, as we start to move out of the pandemic and move away from lockdown?
Yeah, I think it's understanding how consumers' behavior has changed and making sure that businesses are keeping up with that. So there's been a lot of innovation, even with businesses that are service related, and being able to come up with ways, such as if they're a gym and having streaming exercise classes, or a preschool that now has virtual classes where they can be helping to watch children in a remote setting, or concerts and venues that are now done online and streaming, or the do-it-yourself whole genre of things you can do, from cooking classes, etc., are really popular right now. So I think just keeping on top of it. I think South Africa has has two examples that I'd like to share real quick. One is a Cape Town company called Granadilla, and they're a swimwear company, and they did a fantastic pivot where during the lockdown, the company's founders reached out to introduce fresh produce as part of their company. And they reached out to local farmers, small grocers who had no online presence, and they were able to offer their online store. And so they were able to help out small businesses, very micro, and be able to also maintain liquidity on their own part. So I thought that was a good example. And the other one on a bigger scale is Woolworths in South Africa, which large retailer. And we've heard this new phrase, which is buy it online, pick up in store, the biopsis. And now they did something called click and collect. And they added, so normally they have homeware, they have fashion, they have beauty, and they added groceries to the Woolworths for essential groceries. And I just think those are two really good examples of how companies have pivoted, because we aren't going to come out of this anytime soon. And so I think we're going to see more innovation like that for those that survive.
Yeah, I struggle to survive when I'm in South Africa without Woolies. So perhaps one piece of optimism that can be drawn from our legacy of lockdown survey shows that more than half of our respondents in their answers said that their companies fully intend to spend more on advertising and promotion in the first year after they come out of lockdown. So what would your advice be to any company seeking to maximize its bang for buck in terms of future advertising, bearing in mind, I would imagine the first year out of lockdown, it's going to be a pretty cluttered market out there.
Yeah, well, I think we're already starting to see that. And so first off, kudos to the BigFive for the informative survey. The lockdown survey had some really good nuggets in there. And the fact that businesses are prepared to increase the use of digital advertising for their promotions is really important. I think the most important is be current. Don't upset your consumers. So keep your listings current, keep your information current. What are your hours? What are your services? How have they changed? What have you added? What's new? Do you offer pickup? Can I call when I get there and have curbside delivery where I don't even have to leave my car? So I think that contactless delivery, curbside pickup, virtual appointments, tutoring, counseling, teledoc, telemed, everything, being able to do online bookings, scheduling, payments. And I know that we have a lot of members in the BigFive that can support those things, but just, I think that's really important. And the other thing that's come out of this in virtually what we've seen globally is that consumers want to support local businesses. They see the number of businesses that have closed, and they really want to help those that are there to survive. And so promoting that you're locally owned, that it's family owned and operated, locally owned and operated, people want to shop local, and they may not be aware that you have a franchise that's locally owned, or that the name of your company is a mom and pop and locally owned. So be able to promote that, I think, is extremely important. And look, your ad dollars, fortunately or unfortunately, one of the positives of COVID is that when you're buying search, your ad dollars are going further than they were before. The cost per click has declined in just about all categories. We show our own proprietary data that it's dropped 21% year over year in most all categories. And also the click-through rate is higher. And that's all based on just supply and demand. So it's really important to keep your name out there, promote your services, and keep them current so you don't upset consumers when they come to you and you've changed your hours.
Yeah, that is all really sage advice. And I think anyone listening here would agree. Support local wherever you can. We're big advocates for local. Finally, Sandy, I know you're a generally optimistic person, and you have a great outlook on life. So tell me, what are you most looking forward to as we emerge out of lockdown and start getting back to some kind of new normality?
Well, I think the same thing most of us are: vaccine and a cure. because travel, your life, my life, has been drastically impacted. And I think that as much as I'd like to believe that technology is everything, it's not. Personally, I'm a hugger. And so COVID's been really hard on us huggers. And I thrive on face-to-face interaction. So I look forward, Paul, to being able to swirl and taste some good South African red wine with you someday soon. Hopefully it's in 2021.
I promise you that's going to happen.
Okay.
To everybody watching Virtual Summit, all our speakers and their companies are featured on our website. If you want to reach out to Sandy, please click on the Matchcraft link and I'm sure we can connect you. Sandy, as always, I always love spending time with you and hearing your view on the world. We thank you for your support of BigFive, and we thank you for your time today. And we definitely all look forward to meeting up again in person, hopefully sometime in 2021. So I'll raise a glass to when that's going to happen.
Sounds great. Thank
Lovely
you,
to talk to
Paul.
you. Thank you, Sandy. Okay, Mike.